Hey Raiders, welcome back to another Gerbernicorn video on Raid Shadow Legends. The topic of this video will be on countering Rotos. So let's get started. The most common counter to Rotos is Ultimate Death Knight. Basically you make him slow, you put him in 2 turns of Stone Skin, and then Rotos probably gets about 3 to 4 turns in before Ultimate Death Knight is vulnerable. The next champion I like is Goffred. What Goffred does is he has a passive that if someone's about to die, he blocks the incoming damage, he throws up block damage on that champion, and then stuns the attacker. So this works really well. It's a bit limited versus when Sifi is on the same team as Rotos, because Rotos then won't get stunned. But still he blocks the incoming damage and puts up block damage. Next is Duchess if she's in 2 turns of Stone Skin. Basically she goes, puts everyone else under Veil, and then she still has a turn of Stone Skin to block Rotos for 1 turn. This is somewhat effective, but you do have to be able to strike quickly. Obviously, she does not need to be in Stone Skin if she's paired with Ultimate Death Knight. Another good support counter to Rotos is Pythion. Pythion is Force Affinity, so he's difficult for Rotos to kill, he has the mitigation built in, and he heals. Urost is a bit of a soft counter. He can put up Ally Protect and Strengthen, and then when Rotos hits someone with Strengthen, he can put Provoke on Rotos, then keeping Rotos to his A1. This can keep Rotos in an A1 loop, as long as Sifi's not in the team. He does pair well with Ultimate Death Knight going slowly. If he's not paired with Ultimate Death Knight, Rotos can pretty much just hit through him on the first turn. Similarly to Ultimate Death Knight, Emic Trunkheart can be used, and he also pairs well with Urost the Soulcage. He's going to put up Taunt, so Rotos has to hit him. Unfortunately, Rotos can probably one-shot him in most situations, so you would put him in 2 turns Stone Skin. And that way, when Rotos goes to hit him, he at least has that 1 turn from Rotos where he can't get one-shot. And if you further have Urost in there, Urost can have the Strengthen on, and that would provoke Rotos for the next turn, and then you just hope the 15% chance for an extra turn does not activate. So that can be somewhat effective. Another champion I like to use, but he isn't a counter to Rotos specifically, it depends on who you also use, is Cardiel. Basically, I do the trick of running a team ally attack with a block reviver, and Cardiel can take out Rotos before the other team goes. Another champion that's kind of a soft counter to Rotos is Ramantu. Ramantu will AoE put up block passive skills, but that doesn't stop Rotos' active skills, so again, he's still just kind of a soft counter. It will allow somebody to one-shot him, though, that doesn't do multi-hits. Similarly to Ramantu, Ronda can put up the block passive skills and block active skills, and she has multi-hitters as single targets and AoE, so she's excellent at getting rid of Rotos. She does need some excellent support on her side, though, because she is quite squishy. So another excellent Rotos counter that I do not have is Harima. With her passive, that decreases ignore defense effects by 50%, and then she has the A2 that will triple hit Rotos, and if it kills him, it will put Provoke on everyone else. Another good damager to counter him is Staltus. Staltus has the 2 AoE attacks, one being a double hitter, and he's the right affinity, so he can be a little bit difficult for Rotos to kill. That doesn't mean Rotos can't kill him, but he can become kind of difficult. Errol also is the right affinity and has a double hitter AoE. However, it doesn't take as much for Rotos to kill him. My favorite damager to counter Rotos is Inithwe, and that's when I bring in Cardiel. So Inithwe, with his triple hit, if there's a shield, I like to use Cardiel to break that down to start off, and then I get around to Inithwe's triple hitter. Warlord is not a particularly good Rotos counter because Rotos is a Warlord counter. But what he can do is kind of slow down Rotos just a little bit and kind of neutralize Rotos' support. Another good damager for countering Rotos is Foli. Foli with the AoE block revive, and 1 target can be double hit there. So that can be used very well against Rotos. It should be noted that anyone with a double hitter, though, is not going to be great because if Rotos has a shield, you'll have to have a plan for getting rid of the shield. Next up is Candraphon. Candraphon with his A1 can double hit Rotos, and he's the right affinity, so he's also somewhat difficult for Rotos to kill. Also, Tormin can be a decent counter to Rotos with his double hitter single target. However, all of his AoEs, if you build him for damage, he can trigger Rotos' passive extra turns, and that could be a little bit difficult. Another good champion that I don't have that is good for countering Rotos with the A1 is going to be Georgid from the Knight's Revenant. His A1 is a double hitter, and it can repeat itself. So his other turns are not going to be particularly good against Rotos. Rotos is a pretty decent counter to him, but that A1 can kill Rotos. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this team. This time I am going to use Warlord because Korugar will put up the Ally Protect, and that can make things a little complicated. I could either do that or use a Buff Stripper after they go. So I realize not everyone has Warlord, so you could use the Buff Stripper. So we get started. Warlord puts him on cooldown. I got to get rid of the shield, but let's buff up first. So I'm going to use Inithwe's A3 to work on the shield to start. Unfortunately, it doesn't take away that much of it, so I still have to try and work on it. What is fortunate is that Ultimate Death Knight's not in this team, so I will get all 3 hits from Inithwe on Rotos, which should do the job. As long as the shield isn't more than 50% of his HP. So I work back around to Inithwe, and I should be able to get him on the next hit. Go ahead, the triple hitter, and he's done. A harsh reality, though, to countering Rotos is that sometimes you are left with a team that takes forever to finish off his support. So here I just put it on 9 times speed and get through it, but won that one pretty easily once I took out Rotos. So another way to handle Rotos is by bombing him. So this is my standard 3v3 bomb team, but I'll switch in Arbiter here. I could do this. It won't be that reliable because I have to hit maybe Arbiter to spread the bombs, and she may then take off a bomb with her masteries, and it may not work. It may not kill Duchess. So what else do I have? I could put in Warlord and put them on cooldowns. Did that last time. That would work, though. Who else do I have? Gnishak is pretty good at countering Rotos. However, you can trigger his extra turn in between Gnishak's hits. Gnishak is not good against Duchess, though, so Gnishak won't work very well here. But in general, he can work as long as he doesn't have damage on his hits. Mine is actually built for damage, so he wouldn't work very well. But then there's my standard Gaius team. This would work, except that Duchess does have sheep, so it's going to take a little while to get the kill on this one. But what I'll try to do is I'll try to use Hegemon to trigger the sheep first, and then hopefully I can go with Gaius. So Hegemon goes, puts a debuff, but does not trigger sheep. So if he had triggered sheep, then Gaius would have been free and clear. Instead, he puts up bombs, and only one on Duchess. So that's not going to kill Duchess, and now I got to work on killing Rotos manually. Fortunately, I can keep him from doing his big hits for a little while. I can somewhat contain him. But this team was not ideal because of Duchess having sheep polymorph. I am able to get through this fight, though. It just takes a while. But without polymorph, Gaius is an excellent option against Rotos. So because of polymorph, this fight did take a very long time to win. However, the support I was able to keep at bay, and I was able to keep Rotos at bay, and then finally finished off the fight for a win. So the 3 big takeaways from countering Rotos. 1, keep him from going off and destroying your team. 2, kill him with multi-hitters and try to block revive him if possible. If you can't block revive him, have a means for managing the support. Which leads into number 3, which is you have to manage the support around him. If you can quickly block revive him, then you don't have to worry as much about the support, but the fight can drag on. In any case, I'd like to see what else you folks are doing to counter Rotos in Arena, especially live Arena. So please leave that in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, and take care.